now, welcome back to the Deadology Podcast from Pencil Hill Studio, New Paltz, New York. I'm your host, Howard Weiner. This is Season 2, Episode 43 of the podcast. It will be the last podcast of 2024. Today's December 30th, and of course, we're going to do a New Year's Eve show. The Grateful Dead, New Year's Eve, synonymous. And it was... it was a celebration at the end of the year, these huge Grateful Dead extravaganzas with a run that usually started out in Oakland or San Francisco, like 4 or 5 nights, culminating in the big New Year's Eve extravaganza. And the one we're going to do is from December 31st, 1981, Oakland, one of the best New Year's Eve shows ever. And the whole New Year's Eve thing, it was like the end of a season in sports or something along those lines. Everybody symbolically, everybody has a new story every year, even if you don't set out for it. But with the Grateful Dead, it really was, when they stepped into a new year, it was a whole new way of playing, new songs, a brand new narrative. So New Year, the changing of the years had major significance to the Grateful Dead and their fans. I mean, everybody, when you talk about the Grateful Dead, you're always throwing in a year, and you like that certain year. So each year has its unique characteristics and different things going on. So New Year's Eve, huge in Grateful Dead history, and this 1981 show is guaranteed to satisfy. We got Doug Schmell joining us. There's going to be great audio highlights and expert commentary from Doug Schmell, who's back for another. He's been on maybe 9-10 times this year. Always great to have Doug, his enthusiastic thoughts with us. But first, before we jump into all that, I have a confession. I've been in the gym this morning. I was listening to a Carpenters CD. Or not a CD, but a Carpenters download, one of their albums, Song for You. I think it was their third album. I don't know what's happened, but I've been like overtaken by the Carpenters in the last week. It's crazy. I think it's more of like an interest in Karen Carpenter and how great a singer she was. I went to my YouTube page, and Carpenter's video was floating around. I watched it, and I was blown away. Karen Carpenter might be the greatest singer of all time. So I watched one video, then I'm in the freaking rabbit hole, just like totally listening to Carpenters, and especially the early stuff when Karen was young and healthy, and they were at their peak. But it's extraordinary to think of a band like that, where I never thought I would be raving about the Carpenters on a Deadology podcast. But just this past week, I've listened to more Carpenters than I have in the past 40 years. I grew up with it, 70s AM hit radio. I liked it, but I didn't think much of it. I never bought a Carpenter's 45 or album. But here I am now, kind of wrapped up in the with Karen Carpenter. Man, what a talent, drummer, greatest singer, just extraordinary. So just had to get that confession out of the way, and we're going to go off to Oakland, December 31st, 1981, and right to the Zoom call with my buddy Doug Schmell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, back on the Deadology podcast, our good friend, Mr. Doug Schmell. Thanks for joining us, Doug. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but I think this is like our 1-year anniversary with the podcast. You did your first one of January last year, so we've come full circle, a full year.
Yeah, I think it was the beginning of January. You were at my house. That was the first one. When we just talked about in general, my taping days, and then obviously we talked about the 1887 Grateful Dead at Madison Square Garden with That Morning Dew. Yeah. That was incredible. But yeah, it's come full circle, and it's great to be here. Happy holidays, everybody out there.
Yeah, awesome time of year. So of course we're going to do a New Year's Eve show. There's so many great ones. The Grateful Dead history is steeped with New Year's Eve shows. Definitely one of the biggest days in the history of the band. And the one we're going to look at today is from Oakland Coliseum, December 31st, 1981. And for me, it might be the best. It's somewhere between 1 and 3. I could go number one, number two, or number three. It's right up there with one of the best. Definitely an A+ for effort.
Yeah,
What's your general thought on it?
yeah, I agree, Howie. I love 12/31/72. Obviously, I'm a 72 guy, and that happens to be a phenomenal show. With that other one, The Morning Dew, The Sugar Magnolia, there's some great stuff from that show. But this show, I remember, in the early days of my tape trading, was a great show. I just hadn't heard it in so long. So when you mentioned, why don't we do a podcast talking about this 12/31/81 show, I was excited to delve back into it. And it forced me to listen to it again. And I was just blown away how there's so much great music. There's 4 sets of music in this show.
Yeah,
It's incredible
the
when you
effort.
include the
Yeah,
acoustic set. It's amazing. Must be 4+ hours, yeah, at least, of music. And
yeah.
it's all well played.
A++ effort for sure, man. The fourth set you're talking about, I think the Joan Baez set to open, right?
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
there's a few songs that she does. She sings, and the dead are playing in the background. They're somewhat low in the mix, but still, you could hear it's the dead and it's Jerry, on the lead guitar on acoustic. But I got news. I mean, I hadn't listened to this set until actually right before this interview because I thought maybe, I'd missed something. Probably didn't miss much, but there's a Me and Bobby McGee. There's a Bye Bye Love, a credit, to the Everly Brothers. Great song. There's a song called Lucifer's Eyes, which was nice. Children of the 80s. And then finally, they end it with Banks of the Ohio. So it's a nice, 5-song set, and it's really pleasant. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. They do 3 electric sets to follow. It's just incredible.
yeah. And hey, I'm glad you listened to that because I didn't. I have listened to it in the past, but I totally forgot about listening to it. I knew it happened the set before. So a great way to start off. And then hey, the Grateful Dead just blasted off with you can't do better for an opener on New Year's Eve than the Shakedown Street they perform. Your thoughts?
Oh yeah, Howie, I remember you texted me saying, Doug, this may be the greatest shakedown ever. And I was like a little skeptical, but I could not believe I listened to it twice. I listened to it earlier in the week while I was wearing the headphones and I'm walking around the neighborhood, and I thought it was just phenomenal. But I also heard it again last night, driving to meet my brother Craig, who's in town, and my dad. And I had my kids in the car, and they were like bopping to the groove. Jack likes the Dead. Even McKenna, she was bopping a little. I just could not believe how good the Shakedown Street is. There's just this unbelievable jam, the second jam, where Jerry hits just these call and response type notes that blow me away now. Every time and it's now embedded in my brain. It's perfect. Shakedown Street, there's a couple of great ones that I could really think of, over the years. The one I just mentioned, 9/18/87, the show from the Garden with the famous Morning Dew. That's a great shakedown that opens up set 2. And there's one of the greatest shakedowns I think I've ever heard is the I Need a Miracle into
Yeah,
Shakedown from, I think that's 1:15/79. I'm pretty
Springfield.
sure.
Yeah, the greatest
Oh,
transition into a shakedown for
oh
sure.
my God. And the shakedown itself is thundering. This one is right up there. It's easily top 3, maybe the best one. And in its opening slot to open up a New Year's Eve show, it kind of gives it a little extra credence. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it's amazing the groove they got into, and we'll pick it up again in a second. We can't like tease the audience like this. We got to let them hear the jams. So everybody enjoy. Yeah, just a monster jam there. Jerry, the whole band is on. Usually, Shakedown there, they try to get the field. This one is the call and response, as you mentioned, between
Yeah,
Brent and Jerry. Then Jerry, he's like so in just like in the moment, he's doing call and response with himself. It's
exactly. You could tell
unbelievable.
how happy Jerry is. It's New Year's Eve, 1981. He was feeling good at this point, no major ailments or anything. He's in a good spot in life, and he's just happy. And you can tell from his playing right away. It's a 16-minute shakedown, too. I mean, it's not short. It's not, 12, 11 minutes where they kind of go through the motions in that second jam. It's just incredible. I
Yes,
really, I'm so grateful to you for pointing that out because I hadn't known offhand that this was such a special shakedown, and it is.
yeah,
It's
it's
truly
awesome. Yeah,
amazing.
it's so focused, man. That's the thing. It's like they just grab onto the jam, and the band knows what they're doing. The Jerry knows. Usually, shakedown is a lot of fiddle faddle. There could be some wasted
Exactly.
time. This like every minute of the jam's like vital, just a perfect flow and
Exactly.
acceleration. You know.
Yeah, no, they were on a purpose. It's New Year's Eve. They wanted to perform a big crowd at the Oakland, auditorium arena. It's a big. It's funny. Legend has it that this show started. It was raining incessantly outside, so everybody who walked in and holds, a little under 10,000, 8,000, 10,000 people, they're all wet. So they're probably all cold and wet. And then after the acoustic, you're like, come on, where? And then Jerry and the Dead come out with this shakedown. It must have been just so therapeutic and healing to see this. I wish I was there. I pictured it listening in the car, like I said yesterday, with my kids in the car. And I was just picturing being there. It must have been just a monumental moment, to
Yeah,
open up.
yeah, incredible. Like when you were talking about getting the tape and how we enjoyed it in the day. I could still remember the first time I heard that shakedown. Coffee, bong hits, parents' house. I'm on a twin size bed, and I was just blown away by how good it was, man. But hey, so we got a lot of ground to cover, so let's forge ahead. We got the Uncle Mexicali, good stuff. But
Yeah, me and my uncle from these, time period are a little slow. It's funny. Listening to Shakedown, then to me and my uncle, my son Jack, who likes me and my uncle, said, "Yeah, Dad, this one sounds a little slow." And I was like, "You're right, son. During this time
you
period,
a chip off the old block. He's
yeah, the beat
criticizing the
was a
young.
little slower." I said, "You want to hear a great?" Me and my uncle listen to ones from 1972, from like
Zip.
Europe
Yeah,
72. They just rip them. But it's a little slower. But I got news for you. The Mexicali is excellent with a very long second jam, you know, polka time. And Jerry hits a lot of beautiful liquid type leads. And about 5 rounds or so of the leads. And it's special. So to me, right after the shakedown, you got maybe a lull with the Me and My Uncle. The Mexicali Blues picks up right where the shakedown left off. It's great. One of the better Mexicalis from this era I've ever heard.
cool. Yeah, I caught on to something later on in the set, but like I liked it, but I don't even remember the how great that Mexicali was. But then Cold Rain in the middle of the set. I mean, and
Oh, yes.
Jerry's just singing so beautiful on this night.
Beautiful. Yeah, the Cold Rain is great. What a special song. It's not an original Grateful Dead song, but every time the Dead played Cold Rain and Snow, you can tell it's one of the songs where they don't do that often, but when they did it right. Similar to like a Baby Blue, or similar to Must Have Been the Roses, similar to Comes a Time. Special songs that they didn't overplay, that they played every once in a while. And when they did play it, it was heartfelt.
Yeah, and to catch it in the middle of the set on New Year's Eve, man, this crowd must have been like besides themselves what they've seen so far, and it's only going to get better,
Yeah.
man. So, yeah, a great opening. Yeah, the Cold Rain was amazing. Jerry's singing. He's on the money on this night, and he really dominates the show. But moving forward, what do we got after Cold Rain? I don't have the set list in front of me.
Oh, CC Rider.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a CC Rider with Matt Kelly, and it's great. It's pretty long, it's almost a
yeah,
10-minute, and it's great. Remember, 1981. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this. They alternated either Little Red Rooster or CC Rider in every show in 1981. Now, as a Rooster enthusiast, I prefer the shows that they did Rooster, but CC Rider is a blitz.
yeah.
Every one they do, it's similar in a way to Little Red Rooster. There's a great second Jerry Jam, and he usually goes a couple of rounds, and this one is no different. It's great. There's a really nice sound with Matt Kelly on the harp. It's just, I'll tell you, it's one of the better versions I've heard. It
Yeah, no,
really, and
it's
it's
pretty cool.
long, really long.
You got Brent to Bobby to Matt Kelly to Jerry. It's almost too many cooks in the kitchen there. Like Jerry didn't go off as much as usual, but it's cool just because you got the special guest up there who's a great guy, could play harp. Uh, so cool CC Rider, and they do a couple songs later, they do the same thing with Minglewood.
Correct.
So
But
after
yeah,
what?
before that though, there's a Must Have Been the Roses
Yeah,
in which Joan Baez comes on stage, and she doesn't sing all the lyrics, but she sings. And I remember it's funny while I was listening to this show a couple of days ago with the headphones on, and when Joan Baez came on, that was the moment that I remember specifically upon first hearing the show, 25, 30, whatever, 40 years ago when I first heard it. And I haven't heard the show in at least 25 years. But when I heard her voice, it Must Have Been the Roses, it brought back to me that moment when I first heard it for the first time. And even though her voice does not mesh very well with Jerry's, it was just the idea that there's a female, a feminine voice. And it was nice. It was pleasant to hear. It's a different voice than Donna Jean's, obviously.
yeah.
They were out of the band at this point, for 2 years and change. So it was just nice to hear, and it brought back some memories for me.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, she's a couple with Mickey Hart. She's into the Grateful Dead music.
Exactly. Yeah, there are a
She
couple at
couldn't.
this point.
She
Yeah.
couldn't help herself. She came out for It Must Have Been the Roses and add a little color to it, man. It was cool,
Exactly.
man. Definitely.
Exactly. A little different. And then you got to Beat It On Down the Line, which is really nice.
Hey, Doug, stop right there.
Sure.
You've made a big deal out of some Beat It Down the Lines. This one's fucking nuts.
It is hot.
Garcia goes nuts. Like there's a point they do an extra round on it. I thought it was great. I was going to ask you,
what's really nice.
What's the best Beat It Down line again? Is it the
4772?
Cool.
That's the one I played for you when you were in town, and it's just unbelievable. That's kind of when they started a nice string of Beat It On Down the Lines that lasted the entire Europe 72 tour, where they would, instead of there being a keyboard solo by Keith in that second solo in the second round for Jerry, Jerry just kills it usually on those Beat It On Down the Line. But this one is it's just like that. He does two, at least three, and they're great. He doesn't let up. There's really no keyboard mixing in, which fine. I like the keyboard, but I love it when Jerry keeps the intensity going on the Beat It On Down the Line. And it's almost a 4-minute Beat It On Down the Line. It's long, very long.
Hey, so yeah, something you mentioned earlier, something I probably missed. I got to go back and listen, but this Beat It Down line is sick. Garcia does another round. It is really great, man.
It's excellent.
And
that sets up.
When I heard it, I thought about you and that England.
Yeah. That song is just one of those songs. Like, who cares? Beat It On Down the Line, but the guitar jam in that is amazing. It really is. It's always a focused, beautiful jam. And one of the highlights of the set comes next. It's a Big Boss Man in which Jerry sings his heart out. Yep. It's beautiful. He sounds like an angel. It's incredible. His voice sounds good. It shines through, the instruments. And there's a nice, he says, you won't let Jerry stop, in the line where it says, I sure get stoned at night. And then, it's great. Instead of he refers to himself in the third person. It's wonderful. You won't let Jerry stop. It's great.
Yeah. And then also at the very end, I noticed he said, ball all night. Yeah, he came up with
that. Correct.
Instead
of ball all night, something like that. Yeah, sure. Instead of work hard in the daytime, sure get stoned at night, or sure get drunk at night is the lyric that Pigpen would normally sing. But he says, sure gonna ball all night.
Yeah. So it's like a Pigpen tribute without it's the line he didn't sing though.
Correct. Yeah. It's great. So, again, you can really tell from Jerry singing in the Big Boss Man what a great mood he's in. He really is. You can tell. I mean, again, great time in his life, 1981. He's still a relatively young man. He's not even 40 years old yet. He's, I guess, 39. Right. He had turned 39 earlier in the year. He's having a friggin' blast.
And he looked good, man. It's like, I think 82, 83 is where he started putting on the poundage.
Correct.
Started not
81,
looking good.
He was a little slimmer. He looked good. He sounded great, and I'll tell you, not the greatest, opening set, even though it's, I guess, considered set two, but it's a great set because they alternate between, some really mundane, average songs and some really good ones. And believe it or not, the set ending, Don't Ease Me In, is really hot. It's short.
Yeah, what was the Boss Man, Minglewood, Don't Ease, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Minglewood is hot. I forgot. The Minglewood right after the Big Boss Man is hot. I listened to that twice. And my son Jack likes Minglewood. So yesterday we were in the car. He says, Dad, by the way, got any Minglewood on this tape you listen to? I said, by the way, we do. Put on the Minglewood, and he's singing along. And there's the ending Jerry Jam is fantastic.
It is.
Fantastic. It's long. It's not the hottest one he's ever done, but it's focused and it's great. He hit some really nice notes, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, definitely. During the first jam, Bob goes Matthew, so Kelly takes the jam.
Kelly takes center thing, correct.
Yeah.
And so Jerry doesn't get that early lead. So there's really only one lead of Jerry, but he makes up for it by doing it like twice as long. It's very long. In fact, they skip a lyric for Jerry to do this extra long jam. It's about a 2.5 minute jam, and that goes to end the song. And it's great. It's focused. And that leads to the set closing Don't Ease, which is great. Very short, 3 minutes. Look, it wasn't like they did in 72, 73, these extra long Don't Eases where Jerry hits these amazing 2 rounds of jams. This one has the 2 rounds, but the first one's short. Second one's a little longer, but he does hit some nice focused lead to end the song right before the set break, and it's very, very pleasing. Very.
All
So
right.
all in all, a very, very good, great, first opening electric set.
Definitely fulfilling first set. A lot of these shows, they'll shorten it up a bit, but that's like a real first set that was pretty long.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I believe it's about 11 songs. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think it is 11,
Yeah,
10 or
and
11,
and
definitely.
that's a lot, and they're all well played. So you got 2 sets now in the book when you include the acoustic set, and then they come out for set two, which I believe was when it was New Year's when the
Yep,
clock counted down to 12 o'clock. And instead of opening up with Sugar Mags, which they had done, I think for like 5 years in a row
a lot.
at
Yeah.
this point, yeah, they open up with Iko Iko. And
Uh,
to me, that's a great change of pace, and it's a hot Iko. It's about 9, almost 10 minutes or so, and it's very focused, good jamming in it, great lyrics. And again, what I took out of it is hearing Jerry's voice, just the happiness and the glee in his voice. It was amazing to me.
hey, just let me set the stage a second here. So it's about New Year's. Ken Kesey comes on the stage.
Oh,
Bill
yes.
Graham's riding the USS Columbia
Yeah, there's
rocket
that
ship, and
bong bong
yeah,
thing.
yeah, it's complete madness, going on much more so than any New Year. And then they drop 10,000 balloons on stage, at least 10,000. It
Right,
might have been 100,000.
right, right. There was all these balloons. Yeah.
And then even during Ico, Bob, you can hear say, Bob, fucking balloons.
Right, these fucking balloons, right? You hear, yeah, I heard that just before. And it's funny. So you could, in your mind, you could, picture the scene, a lot of bedlam, a lot of chaos, but people definitely clapping and dancing along to an Iko Iko, set three now, opener. And it's great,
It's great, man. And then
It's hard to rank Iko Ikos, but this one is just engaging, And
it's
again, I
full
love Jerry's
service, man. Yeah,
voice.
full
I love
service,
Jerry's
man.
voice. You could just tell that they're in a great mood. Now, who wouldn't be? It's New Year's, but look, different times, deep in different lives. Everybody has something going on in their life. You could tell Jerry's just carefree and easy.
Yeah,
He's not
leisurely. Hey, we're on top of the world. Freaking Kesey,
exactly.
Graham, they're all out here tonight. And
It's great. It's
Bill
a
Walton must have been there. I
celebration
don't
of
even know if
life.
Bill Walton was there, but he probably was
Oh
somewhere.
yeah, he
And,
probably was.
yeah.
1981, right? Yeah, he was
And
still.
then what you thought on the play in the band, the next song?
Oh yeah, it's funny how I heard this playing the band twice now, and it is great. It is great. It's for 14 minutes and change. I think close to 15 minutes. A lot of great jamming in it. It's excellent. It's not psychedelic. I thought of it as how would I best describe this playing? It's contemplative.
Yeah,
He hit some great notes. He's just serious about it. There's at the 7 and a minute and change mark, just some great notes. And I remember then they hit a lot of really quick picking notes. It's great. I really loved it. I heard it twice. And both times I found, something new, something interesting that I didn't hear the time before. So just, an A+ to me playing in the band. I love
yeah.
playing in the band, as you know. It's one of my favorite songs. And this is a great version. Look, by the 80s, they slowed down. They could be not. Look, 1978, they were doing playing the bands that were 9, 10 minutes. This one's 15 minutes.
Definitely much better than a typical '80s play in the band.
I agree.
Especially at the end, it really boiled before they went into Terrapin. There was just
Excellent. Yeah, there's some quick picking, great notes by Jerry, and the whole band's into it.
and then it sounded like it might go into drums, because it's New
Correct.
Year's Eve. They got to get to another set, but no, it's they go into Terrapin Station, man, and just
Which is great. The
that's the
Terrapin
anthem.
Station is beautiful. The great outro jam. I'll tell you, this Terrapin is great. It's hard, like again, to really rank Terrapins, but you mentioned there's some great ones. The one from 1887, The Garden
Yeah,
Show, The Morning Dew is a great Terrapin. There's some great Terrapins from 77. Oh my God. Yeah, there
it
really
is
are.
tough to rank. That's why I didn't do it in my book Deadology Volume Two.
Exactly. That's a tough song
Yeah,
to rank, but this one's way up there. It's just great. The singing's great. I loved it. I thought it was better. I had recently heard the Dead just released a box set. It was earlier in the year, but I got it recently. It's the spring tour of 1978. It's the shows from April 78, and there's a few Terrapins, and those Terrapins are good, but this one blows it away. Three
Yeah.
years later, they're
Jerry
better and
really,
longer.
yeah,
They're better than 78. This one
in
was
the 80s,
phenomenal.
he found something, he resonated something, man. It was just something like he was able to slow it down to the right. It was an all Jerry song at that point, man.
Correct.
And there's one point, this Terrapin, where it reaches a point where it almost came to a stop, like right in the middle. It was like
Yes.
this very soft moment. It was, and
And
then they
it
build
was
it up
great.
again. Yeah.
There's a beautiful jam before the "Since the End is Never Told." We pay
That's the
and
one where it
then
goes down to the end.
yeah, it
Nothing happens.
sounds very like they're about to stop. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I was listening to that, taking a walk around the neighborhood with the headphones, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, "This is a little different." It got really soft, and I thought it was beautiful,
And then
beautiful.
yeah, and
I
just the way they let
forgot
it
about it.
back. Yeah, it was awesome, man.
Right, yeah, right. And then that beautiful ending jam, that outro jam is great,
Yeah.
There are no Terrapins where there isn't a great outro jam, to be honest. But this one just sounded great listening to it on the headphones. I was very impressed.
And we're gonna take a listen to because it's so rare that they go back into the end of playing the playing reprise here.
Oh, yes.
Like
Fantastic.
Terrapin into playing isn't unusual, but Terrapin back into the
Yeah,
reprise
playing
of playing.
Terrapin, playing.
I don't know if it's ever been done.
Fantastic.
A turtle sandwich. So we're gonna give you the we're gonna give you the jam here, and we'll be back to comment in a minute. Enjoy. Yeah, some unique Grateful Dead stuff there. Playing Terrapin back into the playing. The playing the
Yeah,
reprise is cool, man. What do you
yeah,
think?
3 minutes and change. It's
Yeah,
wonderful. I'll tell you, that could have ended the set, with the Ico Ico opener, and that would have been a sufficient set. But no, they go into drums, a 9 minute drums and change, and then a space that isn't really space, but it's more like the other one. They're noodling to get into the other one, but
yeah,
it's great. It's a lot. It's great. I listened to this, for in preparation for the interview, but I was really listening closely to Jerry's guitar in the space, and it's wonderful. And it has the other one theme to it. And then boom, when they go into the other one, it's fantastic. They're already back on stage, the drummer's back on stage. And when Phil hits the bomb, that note for the other one, they go right into it. And it's a short other one. It's only 5 minutes and change, but it's hot.
yeah,
They hit some unbelievable notes before the second lyrics. It's great.
yeah.
Before
I
the,
think
escaping through the lily fields. Oh my God.
I think you
Phenomenal.
covered that exactly, man. Because
Oh,
there was a lot of noodling to get back to the other one, and there wasn't much of a first jam, but the jam between the verses
oh,
actually,
it's fantastic. It really is. Look, to me, it's too short. I'm another one aficionado. It's one of my favorite songs, as you know. I love those 30-minute other ones from 72, from Europe 72. I eat those up.
I love the 37
Five
minute
and a
ones.
half. What was that, Howie? For
I said I love the 37-minute ones. Yeah,
Yeah, the best ones, if you go by just continuity, definitely Germany, Frankfurt, 42672 to me might be the best one. Obviously, the one from Bickershaw, the
Bickershaw.
one from Baltimore,
Oh, that's crazy,
91772.
man.
Oh my God.
That's
That
a
one I
big
underrated.
picks, man. That's
It's
insane. Yeah.
phenomenal. It's one of the greatest other ones. It's probably the longest. It clocks in at 39. The Frankfurt one is about 36. Those two blow my mind. They're very similar. They're incredible. But you listen to a 5 minute other one and you figure they're going to be a lot more focused. There's not going to be space. There's not going to be dissonance. There's not going to be a Phil solo. It's just straight other one jamming. And this one, even though it's short, it's beautiful. I really, really dug it. When I was listening to it the other day, it was great. So that sets up the stage. And then it goes right into Not Fade Away. There's no break. The other one, which I believe features John Cipollina, who comes on stage. He jams out a little off of the other one. You could hear, but he really takes over on the Not Fade Away. He does the intro and he does a nice little solo before Jerry does his solo, and it's great. It's about an 8 minute Not Fade Away, not the longest one, but it's very, very good
Oh,
for an eight minute
definitely.
Not Fade Away. I
Very
enjoyed
cool.
it.
And thanks for bringing in the John Cipollino thing because I didn't even remember that or when I was
Yeah,
listening to it, man. So, yeah, it was cool. Like when you hear this not fade away, there's something about it. It's exciting. It's coming out of the other one, and and it's going to go into going down the road, which they hardly ever did at this point. Was
correct, correct.
you
Nice string of songs right there. Other one, Not Fade Away, Going Down the Road. And Cipollina stays on for the Going Down the Road. You could hear his leads in the beginning, but Jerry in the Going Down the Road takes off
yeah.
and takes over and goes nuts in the second jam. It really is one of the better ones I've heard from that time period, from the 80s.
No doubt,
There's
man.
a couple of great ones, Howie, that you and I have discussed from 81. One of the ones that I love, I forgot the date offhand, but it's phenomenal. I'll remember it for a future Zoom
And then
call.
the Europe 81s, you got the
Yes, correct. They're great.
Amsterdam, and there's one from Munich
Amsterdam.
where he does four
Oh yeah,
jams.
10, 16, 81 is great with the Hully Gully. That's a great
And
show on
10,
Bob's
10,
birthday.
12, they actually do four separate guitar jams on that one
Oh, that's fun.
from Munich.
That's from Munich, correct. You turned me on to that one. There's
Maybe
another
Buffalo
one.
Buffalo 81's pretty hot too, I
Yeah,
think.
the show I was at.
Yeah.
I forgot if you were at that show. I believe
No.
that's 926.
Yeah.
81. I was at that show. That's really hot. But this one has an exquisite second jam by Jerry, where he really, and then they do another round of jamming. It's great. So they're really engaged, and I tell you, at this point, I wouldn't have known what to have expected if I was at this show. I thought they would have done a Bobby set closer because they're coming close to the end of this now third set, second electric set, but they go right into Morning Dew.
Amazing.
Amazing. I
Just
mean,
New Year's Eve. That's what at this
the,
point.
the
It's
magic of the set list
yeah.
is incredible. It's really amazing when you look at it objectively and say, look at this song list. It's one for the ages. It really is.
But
And
especially the Jerry songs, man.
oh, it's incredible,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, we'll talk about this because it starts the final set. But Jerry has this unbelievable string going down the road, Morning Dew. Then, of course, when we talk about the set four, Dark Star Bertha, Those are four straight Jerry songs,
Yeah, crazy.
sung unbelievably and all played incredibly well. So just to touch on the morning dew to end set three, it's a great do. It's not the longest one. It's about 10 and a half minutes, but I love that set, the set ending and the second jam, the outro jam is beautiful. It's not the hottest one they've ever did, but I listened to it twice and there's some things in there I didn't pick up the first time. Really nice, really mellow and contemplative, and it just feel and hits, kind of the essence of what morning dew is, the day after, a a total what's the word,
Nuclear,
a nuclear, yeah, catastrophe,
apocalyptic. Yeah.
apocalypse, correct, that's the word, apocalypse. It fits that mode and the mojo and the theme of the song incredibly well. Most of his jams do. I rarely hear a jam where I'm thinking this doesn't fit morning dew, but this one really does, and it's beautiful. And he does hit some really nice notes right at the end, some nice fanning notes before it doesn't, I guess it doesn't matter anyway. So is it the greatest morning dew ever? No, but it is one of the better ones that I've heard from 1981.
Yeah.
And there's not that many.
I like a lot, of course, but with all the great morning dews, it's hard to get into that upper echelon. So hey, let's let the Deadology podcast people decide what they think of this morning dew jam, because it's definitely great enough to play. So let's hear it.
Oh, correct. Enjoy.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. So that's the end of set two. So far we got the Joan Baez set, and then you got two full sets. I mean, it's a full show. Like usually,
that is a full show.
When they do these 3-set shows, usually they shorten up one of the sets because they know they're coming back, but not tonight, man.
Yeah, this is a New Year's Eve, and everything was different. There was no boundaries on New Year's Eve for them. They could play till dawn, and I really love the fact that they open up the third set. Now, you knew it wasn't going to be an encore because they do say we're going to take another break and come out and play. But or if I recall, actually, they don't say anything. I think after the morning dew, they just go off the stage and they don't say a thing. So you don't know whether they're coming back for an encore.
Exactly.
What it is that they're going to do. Yeah, that's what surprised me when I listened to this, just the other day.
Yeah, like, hey, we'll be back for another set. They didn't say that.
They didn't say anything. They just walked off after the morning dew. And I like that. I like keeping like the audience in suspense. Are they going to do an encore? Are they not going to do an encore? Are we going to have to wait? But sure enough, they come out and they do a mini set. It's not the longest set, but it constitutes a set. It's 4 songs and it's incredibly well played. I got to admit, Howie, this Dark Star to me is very underrated. It's 16 minutes. It's not the longest one. Is it as good as the one from the early 70s? No, but it's a fantastic Dark Star. Jerry sings both rounds of the lyrics, and which they rarely do, and he hits some beautiful notes. There's no space, there's no dissonance, there's no drum solo, there's no bass solo. It's just pure Jerry thematic Dark Star jamming, and it works, and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
remember taking notes in my head, about the 7 minute and change mark. He hits these incredible notes where he takes off really into that Dark Star realm, and you're thinking, wow. By 1981, when this song was almost forgotten, remember they hadn't played this song in 3 years. The
Shea
last time they
Theater
played
Buffalo,
this
I think, was the
song
last one. Yeah.
was, I think, 3178, I believe, correct? The
Well,
closing of
I
winter.
think did one January. It might have been Shea Theater Buffalo, early
Oh,
'79
and correct, 79. They did one at Nassau Coliseum.
Coliseum. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's almost 3 years since they
Yep.
played Darkstar. That was the last one.
This is Brent's first Dark Star, and he did some cool
Correct.
licks in there. He did
Oh
his
yeah, yeah, it's great. I'll tell you, this Dark Star, I listened to it multiple times. Couple of times because I was listening to it on the Internet Archives on re-listen, and it kept getting cut because I listened to it. It went 7 minutes, went into a gas station, came back out. I had to re-listen to it because it came back to the beginning. It stopped where it led off, so I couldn't continue listening to it at the 8 minute mark. So I probably heard it 4 times, at least the beginning of it. But it just sounds great to me, and I was happy to hear it again. I love Dark Star. It's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, just think of
But
being there.
just now,
I never saw it. Did you ever see a Dark Star? I never saw one.
no, I've never seen a Dark Star.
That's crazy, man. Me and you were there like all
Now
through the '80s.
it's possible I did at a show maybe at the Brendan Byrne Arena in 1989. I know they did one. I might have been there.
October 16th. Yeah.
Correct. I'm not positive that I was there. I might have been. I probably was because I was seeing shows a lot then. And I remember there's talk of they're going to do Dark Star. And there was a lot of commotion and kind of like a lot of buzz going that they were going to play it. So part of me remembers being there. So I probably was. But yeah, if I did see it, that was the only one. It was short. But this is like a 16-minute Dark Star and it works. It's beautiful. It really is. I love the lyrics. I love the singing. I just love Jerry's focus on it. It's incredible. It really is. Look, I don't know that many other ones that the Dark Stars from that time period that you can compare, but this has got to be one of the best ones from that post 70, 74 era,
Yeah, yeah. It's two different songs. 70 pre 74. Those are masterpieces. The best the Grateful Dead
72 to
have to
me is the
offer. Yeah,
best year
yeah.
for Dark Star 72.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
They're the best. They're 30 minutes usually on average. Some are less, but some are more. And there's just so many different aspects of the Dark Star, the jam. And there's usually never the second round of lyrics. This one is more linear, more focused with two sets of lyrics. So it works, and it
Yeah.
worked really well this night.
Yeah. Jerry definitely pulled it through because he was like the main
Oh, yeah,
yeah
the main driving force
star
of
of
the
that. Yeah,
Dark
yeah,
Star for
definitely.
sure.
And then they hop into Bertha, which is
Yeah,
just
right
like
into a
great,
Bertha.
man. Great.
It's funny. There's for about 10 seconds before they go into Bertha, you kind of heard Jerry to try to go into it. And then they space for like 10 seconds. And then dun, 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 the intro into Bertha comes. And I mean, imagine being there.
Yeah.
I thought about this in the car because I literally just listened to this before the interview while I was driving to get lunch. And I was like, this is really phenomenal. Where did they get the chutzpah to pull off Dark Star into Bertha and to have this now being the fourth Garcia song in a row? It's like you called that great show from the Lyceum 52372 a Garcia
Wow.
Fest,
Yeah.
which it is. I mean, this is a Garcia Fest. There's 4 songs in a row, and there's 5 of the last 6 songs to end the show are Garcia songs. And they're all well played and they're great Garcia songs. So this Bertha comes out of nowhere, but it works. And
It's
it's a
hot,
great
man. Yeah.
Bertha. It's hot. There's a great middle jam. I love it. There's great singing in it. They don't flub the lyrics. Love it. What your thoughts on this Bertha, Howie?
Oh no, definitely. I thought it was great, man. Love the Bertha, the very hot jam from the band, the whole band. Like Brent's playing great here.
Oh yeah.
It's tremendous. They go into Good Lovin', and then a good, solid Good Lovin'. It's
Yeah,
getting
the
late,
Good
and
Lovin'
then
is very long.
yeah,
I think for New Year's they stretch it out. It clocks in at 10 minutes. And the ending where Bobby's singing, with the Push Back the Night and, the Good Lovin' with that, nice soft singing in the background by Jerry. And also, I think Phil sings. It's just really nice. And they extend it. It's much longer than most Good Lovins. because they're taking their time, they're feeling the moment. This was the set ending. You could tell it was a set ending song, just by the way they played it. So this ended, and to be honest, it's got to be over 4 hours of music at this point. If they walked off without an encore, it would have been okay.
Yeah, no,
But
it's
this
crazy.
being
Like
New Year's,
I don't even think I heard the whole Good Lovin' in full. I listened to it a couple of days ago, and I tried listening to it again this morning. But you need morning, afternoon, and evening to listen to this show. It's like that long, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, exactly. I fit it into a few days listening to it, but I heard most of the songs at least, twice. The Terrapin, I think I only heard once. For some reason, that was only because it's obviously part of a long suite, a jam suite. But to be honest, I'll tell you, this show, I didn't know what I was getting myself into how, because I didn't remember it that well. And I'm a 72, 73, 74 guy. So I'm thinking, all right, this will be fun, delving into something that I don't know offhand. And this show is just phenomenal.
it
It really
is
is. What a great show. And the encore of Baby Blue was beautiful. Look,
awesome, man.
Joan comes on. Again, I don't think her voice meshes very well with Jerry's, and she's singing a little differently than Jerry, and she screwed up the lyrics a little, but it still works because
Yeah,
you've got two icons paying tribute to Bob Dylan.
that is
Bob
crazy,
Dylan,
man.
yeah, it's phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
really a great moment in time if you think about it.
Who loves Bob
A
Dylan
great
more, Jerry or Joan? Like,
when you think about it, Bob Dylan and Joan toured for a long time, right? In the 60s.
yep.
They were together on bills where they were playing, their folk
And it's
rock
weird
stuff.
because they kind of worked out. Joan Baez can't really sing with anybody because her voice is so unique and just
Correct.
operatic and
Correct.
beautiful. She really needs to buy it by herself. But yeah, she pretty cool, man. She's with Bob and Jerry, and they're both
Yeah, it's
happy to
awesome.
have her there, man.
They
How
flub the
crazy is that?
lyrics. On one of the lines, they flub the lyrics, but they get right back into it. And they end it really nicely, with strike another match, go start anew. It's really nice,
That's the best
that hit a
sentiment.
spot for me.
Yeah,
I
that's the
had
best
some tears.
sentiment, man. I
I
love it.
got news for you, Howie. I'm an emotional guy with some of this stuff when it comes to Grateful Dead. And there's a lot of look, can't remember the last time I cried or had tears, really feeling the essence of Jerry and saying, yeah, I miss this guy, but he's been gone now, what, for 20, what's it, 26 years now, something like that? Or
Almost 30.
he died in 95.
We're
So
hitting
yeah,
about the
it's
30th anniversary.
correct,
It's
coming up
crazy.
30 years now. And I remember listening to the Morning Dew from the Lyceum, 52672 with the headphones, and it brought me to tears. It did. I
Wow.
had goosebumps. That is one of the great moments of Grateful Dead history. I know some people underrate that do. Are there better dues? Yes, technically. But in the moment, the singing, the where they were in time at this point,
Perfection. It was the best
yeah,
one up to that point.
it's a perfect
Yeah.
Morning Dew. That couldn't. It's hard to top that. And that brought tears to my eyes. This Baby Blue, I had some tears in my eyes just thinking of Jerry, thinking of Joan Baez, just thinking of all these great legendary singers that came before that, paying tribute to Bob Dylan, one of the greatest singers and lyricists ever, a man who I know you love, and a guy who, I have the utmost respect for. And it brought me to tears, Howie,
Yeah.
and it did. And this is why we love music. And this is why we listen to this stuff and analyze it and go back years and years and really just, eat it up because we love it. And it touches our soul. It's not just you listen to a song and you sing along and it's great. It touches our soul. And there's not a lot of people out there who could appreciate that. But I know a lot of the guys out there listening to this understand where we're coming from. And moments like this, it just makes it so worth it. All the shows we went to, all the mileage, the drugs we took, all the shit we had to go through.
The
Running out here,
arrests, the
sleeping
harassment,
on hotel room floors, running
misleading
out of money
parents.
repeatedly, right? Having to tell lies to where we were going. I'm going to Jerry's party, Dad. I'll be back. But
Yes, we finally did it. Me and Doug, we made it through an entire show without the Zoom call cutting out after 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is. Yeah, we were pretty excited about that. We first time we got through the entire show. Usually Doug's going on and we're getting to like the last two songs and he gets cut off, but we made it all the way through. So there was much celebration on our parts and a phone call afterwards about that. And I love the last thing Doug was talking about, talking about being moved to tears by the performance of Baby Blue with Joan Baez and Jerry singing, and for a Dylan song. Yeah, very very moving indeed, and that's the best. That it was very fitting, because where I wanted to go with this, as Doug was moved to tears listening to that, my Carpenter thing, man, it was a video superstar. Karen Carper just recording that one take. And you got to check this out on YouTube. And don't blame me if you start listening to Carpenters after seeing this. But it's like the most mesmerizing, I think, vocal performance I've ever seen. And that's what brought me down the whole track of getting into them a little bit. Yeah, just touching the soul, being moved to tears. That performance by Karen Carpenter on Superstar, just, it stops times and it's tracks, man. It's her voice is so mesmerizing, and just her pitch, the perfect pitch of her voice, 3 octaves, her amazing alto singing, just mind-boggling, and her timing, and just I think the fact that she played drums, but she was a drummer before she was a singer, that actually made her a much better singer, because she really had a feel for timing and and how to use her just amazing voice. So yeah, that's the whole. Like, it's great when music can inspire you that much that you're moved to tears. There's nothing like it, and I think that happens more as we get older, man. It's the coolest thing ever. I remember seeing Jerry in '87 with the Grateful Dead. After his coma, how moving some of those shows were, man. Just no doubt we were moved to tears at those shows, especially like that Madison Square Garden, New York, Morning Dew. Yeah, just incredible stuff. And then as the years went by, after I went to see a lot of Dylan shows with the Never Ending Tour, and like I would be in Amsterdam or Mexico City. Amsterdam, I saw this blind Willie McTell. I'm out there crying like a baby. It's just it's cool and stuff when music can touch your soul like that. There's nothing better. And the Grateful Dead do it, Bob Dylan, and the strangest of places, if you look at it right too, someone like Karen Carpenter. You just could move you that much, and that's the beauty. You never know where it's going to crop up from. All of a sudden you were never much of a Bob Marley fan, and then you're all in with Bob Marley. Like, that happened to me about 5 years ago. So yeah, you don't even have to listen to new music. You just go backwards and just find all these great artists that are, the work they did are just, time out of mind, stopping time in its tracks. So yeah, once again, thanks, Doug, for coming on. And one last thing, we're going to go back. I just want to go back to that Oakland show and just point out what a great show it was. I mean, obviously for the people who were there, but just listen to these songs that Jerry played. What Jerry played that day is just incredible. You can't ask for a better lineup of Jerry songs. So you got the great Shakedown opener, Cold Rain and Snow, Big Boss Man, and Don't Ease Me In the first set. Obviously, Don't Ease Me In being the lesser of the songs there, but every other song in this New Year's Eve thing is gold. You got set 2, Ico, Terrapin, Going Down the Road, Feeling Bad, Morning Dew. And then you got set 3, Dark Star, Bertha, and It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. A brilliant show. Another awesome New Year's Eve extravaganza. This one, like I said earlier in the podcast, anywhere between 1 and 3. Definitely one of the top New Year's Eve shows. And that's all we got for you. Happy New Year's, everybody. Happy holidays. We're back for a 3rd season of Deadology. So looking forward to that. We're starting in January. I think the first show we're going to do is the Jerry Garcia Band from the Keystone, December 21st, 1979. Just a extraordinary show. It started a new era for the Jerry Garcia Band. They would just be known as the Jerry Garcia Band from this point forward. They had been reconstruction. But yeah, these are the golden years as far as I'm concerned, 79 to about 1984 with the Jerry Garcia Band. And I was going to do that last week, but a couple things popped up and I wasn't able to do the podcast, but I got everything set up. I got the audio cuts, so I figure, hey, let's do that for the first one of the new year. And once again, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Howard Weiner. My website, tangledupintunes.com. Peace out. Oh, and one last thing. The outro here is going to be a segment of that It's All Over Now, Baby Blue from New Year's Eve, 81, with Joan Baez joining Jerry Garcia. Speak to you next year. Enjoy.
All your seasick sailors, they are rolling home. Your empty-handed army is all going home. The lover who just walked out your door has taken all his blankets from your door. The carpet too, it's falling over you. It's all over now, baby blue. Leave all your stones behind. There's something close to you. Forget about the dead you left. They will not follow you. Staying in the clothes that you once wore. Strike another match, start anew. And it's all over now, baby blue. And it's all over now, baby blue. It's all over now, baby blue. It's all over now, baby blue. Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.